So what I have today, I was just at the local flea market and I picked up this cool hammerhead, and it's even got the little holder where you put a nail in, you smack it so it knocks a nail in, then you drive it in. Okay, so I want to forge this into an axe. Now this is either drop forged or it's cast. This is either forgeable or it's not. So let me move my palette because I had some short students in here making knives. And first thing we're going to do, I'm going to grab some safety glasses, and we're going to come over here to the grinder and see, is it a high carbon steel? I'm going to bet that it is, but we're going to check just to be sure. Before we get going too far, I'm going to grab different glasses because these suck. Okay, so before we get going too far, please hit that subscribe button. Let's find out, does it spark? I bet it does. A lot. And fairly consistently. How does that compare to a hammer that is definitely forgeable? This one might even be a little harder. A little higher carbon, let's find out. So I chose this hammer because it's got this large eye, and it's got kind of a long eye, but it seems to be reasonably supported, and there seems to be enough mass here to forge out a blade of some sorts, people. And I've been wanting to make another tomahawk because that's one of the things I do. All right. This is going to take a moment. So while this takes a moment, I'm going to go ahead and show you around my shop. So we're located here in Central Illinois, St. Elmo on Main Street. We're Forge and Memory family. Robbie Bellman started Forge Memory in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee years back, and it has grown to near nationwide. We're glad to be part of that. Okay, so I'm going to show you just some of the tomahawks and axes I've done. Like you can see, I've got rasp hawks, and then majority of these are going to be forged or have been forged from, here's one that was forged from a claw hammer. Kind of a Biscayne Bay style, forged from a claw hammer. A lot of these are forged from claw hammers. It's when I was on Master of Arms. When I was on Forged in Fire. And then we have, of course, a bunch of cheap pocket knives over here and things like that. But something I was thinking, I was like, you know, I do a lot of spiked tomahawks. I do hammer pole hawks. This one, I'm seeing more of just kind of Eastern woodland style, maybe. But if this forges, I might need a new tomahawk this year. So I may keep this one for myself, or I may not. I've got that option. We're hoping to be down at Turtle Island later this year, and if so, I always take a different tomahawk or axe down there each year. So this will give me something to do, something to work towards. I want to turn the heat up because I've got to get the temp up on that piece. First thing I'm going to do just a little bit of light hand forging. We're going to flip that around, provided that the tines don't just break off if it is cast, or if it's just been, if it just has defects, we'll find out. What I'm going to do, just some light hand forging, will it work? But even at a low temp, those bent in okay, so I'm going to go with they're probably okay. This will probably work. can't guarantee it, but I'm going to switch to some different tongs. I'm going to get that hammerhead into the forge. Once more, please subscribe to the channel. We've got a few projects I'm going to be working on today, and those projects include some axes, probably some cleavers, because I like making cleavers. Probably going to make some more cleavers. All right. So what I like to make cleavers out of, I actually like to use spring steel. Okay, I can't show you my gun on here because it's alive. It's a Taurus 692. Last time I had a gun in my hand on a live, they got pissed, and I guess it's for safety in case somebody shoots someone or themselves. They don't want that on YouTube Live. River, yeah, I can do a sword. I actually do quite a few swords. And at some point I'll be doing some builds on reverse falchions. With a companion knife. All right. So yes. All right, now that axe head, soon to be axe head, hopefully, is coming up to temperature. And what I'm looking at right now is it's not heated evenly yet, so I'm going to let that temp come up, and then we're going to go to the power hammer because stock reduction is key in this case. And what I mean by that is we're taking that hammerhead, not this one because I like this one. I got this from Trenton Tide. I'm taking this hammerhead and I'm going to have to compress this down and draw it out into an axe shape. Started the forge just maybe 5-6 minutes ago. We're coming up to temperature. Yeah, for those asking about the firearm, it is a Taurus 692. It's a 7-shot 357. I can swap out the cylinder and run 9s in it. Sometimes I shoot 38s. I've shot all 3 through it. You can see the difference in the temp. And I need brighter than this down here, so that's a lot of mass right there, but that's also some durable steel, and steels that are good for hammers are often good for axes. It can be vice versa, although I'd be more likely to use a higher carbon steel for an axe than I would a hammer, because I'm still dealing with the blade. And with hammers, of course, you're looking at impact. With axes, you're looking at impact. And I haven't done an axe for a little bit. Last time I did was just a little tomahawk. But I have to make some more. It's coming up to temp. It won't take too long. But as we're coming up to temp, I want to dig through some of my material and start cutting out some sections for doing some cleavers. Hey, look, here's a leaf spring. This will kill just a couple minutes. temperature. So let's see if this holds up under the power hammer or if it's a complete bust. Something of a strange color. There we go. I got her out. Okay, we're back into the forge now. Bring this over. So back into my Atlas forge. I use that a lot, almost on a daily basis. And I'm going to bring that up to temperature, and then I'm going to start flaring that blade out, because there's a lot of material there. I mean, it's over half an inch thick right now, close to 5/8. And like I said, the power hammer is great for stock reduction. What that means is reducing the size of larger stock, essentially. So, it seems to be forging okay. I expect to have to trim off the end. It kind of had one of those crosshatch textured hammer faces, but that's not going to work well for an edge, because if it's forged together and it's not welded, then it's going to have voids. If it is welded, it's going to have zones of decarb. So it's best just to trim that, sacrifice that material. Hopefully everything goes well. So we're getting the beginning of that axe shape. We're also getting a loose die. So making sure that my power hammer's turned off. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to tighten that down. Still being cautious because accidents do happen and I want to avoid those. Let's come over here just a little bit. likely that this experiment's going to work, being that I've done it hundreds of times, but you never know. Sometimes you get one that won't forge. Definitely going to have to trim off some excess. Before I get too far into it, let's go ahead and offset that blade to the top of the eye. Make the power hand. No, I actually I did get that. That was made by Raymond Head. I got it from Robbie Bowman. So it was made in Arkansas, I believe, and then it went to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Now it's in Central Illinois. Okay, so for this next process, I'm going to be driving the blade towards the top of the eye. I'm going to use a straight peen hammer for this. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. I can use all the exposure I can get. And here is a straight peen with a rather robust peen. With a rather robust vertical striking surface. Hey, it was funny. All right. Liking the results here. Let's go right back into the forge. And we're going to be going right back to the power hammer. People ask, they'll say, when you do a claw hammer into an axe head, do you forge weld those together, the tines? You forge weld the tines together so you make a spike? I don't. I generally cut those off. It's good steel. It's just, I've got a lot of spike hawks as it is. They are useful, but in this case, I'm going a different route. Next step of the process, I'm going to start drifting that eye. This is usually kind of a frustrating part of the process. So I'm going to drift that eye to the cross section of a tomahawk handle. Here's my bottom die. You can see how that's teardrop shaped. And then I actually have some progressive drifts right here. And then I have a complete drift. And then I have another drift. I got a lot of drifts here, guys. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to forge it down towards that blade so that I have a start for the teardrop shape. I want how to do it. So now you can see how that's teardrop shaped, and this looks reminiscent of, you probably know her too. It's kind of suggestive of something. Those of you who know, know. Those of you who don't, well, that's okay. Everybody walks a different path. So, get a glove here. And I think that's the one I'm going to use right there. I don't think I'm going to have to open this up very much. It should slide easy enough. There is not a dirty way to put this, is there? So before I use my drift, I'm going to lube it up. I'm going to oil the drift so it slides in easy. Just watch what I'm doing. back at it. Okay, so here we go. Knock this out. And hopefully not into that bucket of water, because that would be bad. Now you can see how that is shaped like a tomahawk handle. Now, I've got to do a couple of things. One, I've got to go back into the forge, because my last drifting I'm going to do from the top. And it's hard to believe I may actually get this in 2 drifting cycles. Now you can see here where the heat has bled, where it's burnt the oil off, where there's still some oil. And I want to probably drive it in up until this point. That come up to heat, because one thing I don't want to do is crack the eye on my axe, and that I have had happen many times, reforging axe heads and reforging hammerheads. It's very common where the junction of the eye and the blade is, even if it's not wrapped, if it's not folded and welded, it's still a common point for stress. Many cases in drop forge models, because well, they do all that in usually one heat. That just a little bit hotter. I want to drive it in. I want to check for straightness correctly as needed. I probably ought to get another flow. So I'm not going to be able to show you guys the whole process, because I might have taken over the vise if I need to torque that just a little bit. Some people say to tweak that, but we got enough damn tweakers here in Fayette County as it is. Guys, I'm pretty happy with this, so what I want to do, knock that off. I'm good on straightness and all. I'm going to go ahead and normalize, then I'm going to let it cool. Some people don't do normalizing when forging axes. Tool making is different than bladesmithing, but I myself am a bladesmith. Andrew Slauson, you got that right, buddy. Okay. So I'm going to take a break because my back's a little sore. But what I want to talk to you guys about is how I do heat treat on my axes. Now, I'm going to pull that out and let it cool real quick. The heat treat on my axes is more reminiscent of bladesmithing than it is of tool making. I've seen people forge axes, do a lot, bring up to temp once, allow it to cool, so like maybe a low cherry, and then do their stock removal, shape it up, cut their bevel, heat it, quench it, and draw temper. I like to do a little more involved of a process where I run by rule of 3 here, and that's just how I've always done it. And rule of 3, I want to do at least on our basic carbon steels. There's going to be 3 thermal cycles. In many cases, at decreasing temperatures. Now I realize I'm not making a hunting knife, I'm not making a kukri, anything like that. I'm making a tomahawk, I'm making an axe. It may identify as something else, I don't know, we'll find out. You buy it, you can do what you want with it. But this particular piece, I want to take it and let's see, I think I'll do my 3 cycles. I'll go ahead and cool it down, allow it to cool, at least down to 200 degrees or so. And then I'm going to start cutting parts of it off. So those tines are going to come off the back. That's going to get shaped. That bottom section, that eye is really tall. I like that for stability, but it can still also be a pain in the butt to try to fit a handle on something like that. So I'm going to trim that, and I'm going to trim the length and the profile of that axe before I go through and essentially cut the bevels. And then I'm going to start my heat treat process. Now I probably won't get to that on this particular video, but we look forward to it in maybe some future videos. Questions, comments, you guys let me know. And also, be sure to like the channel, please subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and cycle that one more time. So now I've essentially had this axe up to my max temp. Right now we're going back in. This time, I'm going to bring it up either to the same temp, hopefully slightly below. So it's going to require a little more attention. I'm at a low red right now. I'd like to be at a high red, low orange. I was at a high orange, low yellow previously. And that goes for any portion of the axe that's going to be resharpened. A good portion of what's heated now is going to get removed. Now after my third time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of that leaf spring in there and I'm going to start forging a cleaver blade because I've got heat, why not? Once more, if you guys would, please subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends. Also, watch Forged in Fire. You can check out Season 4, Episode 2, Deerhorn Knives. I was on that back in 2017, 2018. I was on Master of Arms on Discovery Channel. Did a flintlock axe pistol, kind of looked like that. And may have some other stuff coming up soon. So, very shortly, that's coming down. It's on a low red right now. Like I said, very shortly I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to introduce some spring steel. And I can actually do that now and kind of capitalize on, or economize on the, not really capitalize, but I guess it's saving money. And making money in a process, and dropping the temperature of the forge, and then, then I'll put that in for the last time. The forge will be at a lower temperature and it won't come up as hot. Actually going to drop the temperature of the forge because I just introduced cold material. So as that starts to equalize out, that's going to change things up a bit. Clearly there's some grease and oil on that. As that's starting to burn off. I'll show you guys my axe head here and how that's progressed. cool, relatively cold material into the forge, and my temperature drops even more. That's actually coming up to a little red. I'm going to put that back in the forge and let it heat some. I'm going to flip it over because I did just put it on a relatively cool piece of steel. It's on the low end of red. I'll set that aside and let it cool. We're going to bring that spring up to temp. All right. All right, so be sure to check out some of my other videos on the channel. Watch Forged in Fire, watch Master of Arms. Have a great day, and tell your friends. I'll catch you guys in a few.